Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, 3 Degrees of Love. It's your girl Alana here. And if you're new here, thank you for joining. And if you like what you see, by all means, click the like button, share, and subscribe. So today, I have a very exciting video. Let me just give you a quick background. So I had sort of boycotted, well, not really boycotted, but trying to take a break from Kickstarter. And so I didn't happen to see this deck until sort of more recently. And as soon as I saw it and I took a closer look, I was really excited. And of course, the deck that I'm talking about is the I'm Here Oracle, created by Murphy Pines. And I absolutely felt right in love with it. And so, of course, I backed it. Of course, when you're seeing this video now, the campaign just finished. And yes, of course, it did meet its funding goal and surpassed it. Unlocked all the stretch goals, so all the cards are available. The campaign went very, very well. And of course, if you want to see a walkthrough of that deck, definitely check out Lisa Pepez's channel. She did an amazing walkthrough of the prototype deck on her channel. And like I said, this deck is just wonderful. And because, as you guys would have seen if you've been following my channel, that my channel is all about mental health and spirituality and sort of combining the two. And of course, with a deep love of tarot mixed into that as well, and oracle. So, yeah. So anyways, with that being said, I had the wonderful opportunity after reaching out to Murphy and getting to talk with them about the creation of this deck. And, we hit it off. It was a great conversation. They are such a wonderful person, both inside and out. And so, with that being said, let's jump right into the video, okay? Take care, guys. Enjoy. Hi, Murphy.
Hi.
How are
How are you,
you?
Alana? Yeah. Is it Alana?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So we're meeting for the first time.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me on my channel.
Uh-huh.
Really great to meet you. So please tell me about yourself. Let's just get to know you first, and then we can talk about the deck after and all of that stuff. So yes, please tell me all about you.
Okay, great. Let's see. It all started when my parents in the 90s. But yeah, so I'm an artist. I live in LA. I've been an artist like basically since I've been a sort of functioning adult. Like and I mean, I guess I've been an artist like as long as I can remember, because I was drawing mermaids at like 4. So
Wow, nice.
yeah. Now that I think about it, like I only drew like mermaids and unicorns. Should have been a hint that I was gay. So I'm queer, non-binary, and all of that kind of was part of my self-discovery in my like mid-20s. And along with that process, like in like my early to like now, basically early 20s to now, I went on this like healing journey, starting with like, therapy, and then like trying to figure out like, because it felt like there were gaps in my understanding of my past. I felt like I just kind of glossed over things. And as I uncovered more things, things just started to make sense. And things that like I thought was a part of my core identity turned out to be just like trauma responses. um, and so yeah, I had this whole process happening in tangent with like my journey as an artist, and I feel like that happens a lot because a lot of times we process our emotions through art. And so I remember when I first started, like, like telling stories, I went to film school. I had a lot of trouble being vulnerable in my art. I didn't really want to show anything like deeply personal about myself, like in the art. I was just like, no, I'm going to make an action movie, like, which is, you can definitely do like be vulnerable in an action movie. I've seen it done before. But like it wasn't something that I felt comfortable doing because I didn't want to look inside, because I thought there wasn't anything good inside, which is already part of the problem, and so I had a bunch of really wild traumatic things happen to me in my early 20s, along with repeated trauma throughout childhood, and the process of coming back to that healing. I would describe myself as a born again witch, which is, it's interesting because my upbringing, I had a lot of spirituality, like basically anything you find in a new age bookstore, like my mom read, like all of it, and applied it to my upbringing, but in a way that was extremely harmful, where it was just like, oh, it's because you have this like darkness inside you that you can't heal, and you're causing bad karma in the world, basically taking a mix of every belief system and just like turning it into a weapon against me.
So I just recently learned the term, like I've always been a spiritual person myself, right? Like I have a Catholic background, Christianity, right? And I've always identified, even up to now, identified as a Christian, but a very open to everything kind of Christian, right? I use the term very loosely in the sense that I really only like the sort of the be all and end all of the idea of me and Christianity is the fact that I believe in Christ. That's it. Right? Like the dogma of religion and all of that stuff. And there's a lot of hypocrisy that, growing up that I've seen, and so many different, like in my family has a lot of different mixes of Christianity. So, and everybody's like sort of like bashing each other, that kind of thing. Right. So I recently learned the term omniist, and I was like, basically, and that's, to me, what you're saying about your mom sounds like that's exactly what she is. However, omniist is usually the idea of a person who doesn't really identify with any one religion, but takes teachings from the various ones and applies it and to their own truth or whatever, right? But I guess from what you're explaining and what I'm gathering is that your mom basically took that idea of an omniist and weaponized it. Absolutely. And it's funny because I initially, when I just learned the term, was like, oh, well, maybe that's what I am. I'm more of I would say I'll still identify as a Christian because that's like, from whatever, but I'm a Christian omniist or an omniist or whatever. Right? Like, I can't explain myself, but then I'm like, it never it didn't even really dawn on me that, but you could do that with anything. That anything could be made into a negative, right? So now I'm listening to you, and I was like, oh my god, but your mom. So your mom, cool. Your mom was an omniist, but then you started talking about the fact that she was weaponizing it, and I'm like, oh, well, that would be the bad side of that. Okay, so. But it was in a way, good that she was open, just not necessarily in the way that she took things in, right? So
Yeah.
and I can see, yeah, that, you know, would definitely be a hard upbringing. So how did you end up into spirituality? Like when I say because of your mom, you've always sort of had that thing, but how did you then take it and redefine it for yourself and make it your own to what it is for you today?
Okay, so also, by the way, it's a pretty cool phrase. I kind of like it, and I think there's something that a lot of different belief systems have in common. They can be beautiful, but like there's also, just like, you know, a knife can be a weapon, or it can be a beautiful tool to make art, or like food to nourish people.
Right?
Yeah. And so like I think that's kind of where I came back to it, was I think like, yeah, a few years ago. I got in a really dark place, because there was a point where I had this like hope that I could repair my relationship with my parents and show up as my most genuine self, and that included, you know, coming out to them as you know, the person that I discovered myself to be after years of like searching and healing. And it went very poorly, and I was pushed into this sort of corner where I basically, trigger warning, all of that, but I was I was in sort of the darkest place in my life. And I got to the point where I almost ended my life, and I'm so glad I didn't. And from that point, yeah, I that's when I think I saw, at sort of the precipice, right, of like that decision. You kind of see everything you're leaving behind and everything that could be. And I think whatever pushed me back into this world again was also what, like, you know, the momentum that got me to seeking healing again in whatever means necessary. And what one of those things was looking for familiarity, things that felt familiar to me. And I realized I could take the things that were weaponized by me and reclaim it for my own. And because it's also such a core part of myself, like I believed in the magic of the world, I believed in the mystery of the unknowable, but things that we can feel but not see or measure, you know. And those things, what is it, my favorite quote from The Little Prince is, what was it again, here is my secret. That's my Instagram handle. Here is my secret. It's a very simple secret. It's only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. And so that kind of connection and fascination to sort of what is unseen and internal, sort of got me thinking about like reconnecting with the world again in a deeper level. And that I went through, like, I started doing research on a lot of things through psychology, because I had this moment right after my traumatic event in my early 20s where I had to distance myself from anything that wasn't science. I was like, you know, like hardcore, like, I would empiricist, maybe, like, you know, you just like, if you can't measure it, it's not real. Like I was very, very much like, no, like, and after, like I think I started thinking about the psychological like effect that like spirituality had for people, the purpose it served. And through psychology, which felt like a safe way for me to scientifically understand spirituality, I realized how important it was, like, for me to personally, for me to connect to that again. Did that make sense? I hope that was
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
So what is your what would you say your spiritual practice looks like now
Hmm.
for you? Um, like, are you, do you, because you, well, you created a deck, right? So I want to assume you do tarot and
Hmm.
oracle and all of that stuff. Like that's a big part of your practice, I would assume.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I kind of started out with I mean, so I live in LA, which like we're surrounded by crystals and stuff and things like that. And I was like, oh, like um there's a lot of, well, I started out in like sort of taking crystals and like the meaning behind
Mhm.
intention behind each like crystal, and like using that as a reminder for myself. And then I got into tarot and like decks, like oracle decks, and as a way to self-reflect. And I normally it's, to me it's more of unlocking communication with your subconscious,
Mhm.
rather than, more than, like predicting the future, because I still don't think I personally can do that. I'm sure some people are intuitive and can like sort of um like kind of have more of a sense of what might come. But like for me, it's about figuring out what's going on inside me. And so that's kind
Yeah.
of where the idea for my oracle deck came from too, is just this practice of checking in with yourself and doing it in a way that doesn't feel like scary. And the gentleness is essential, because I started doing a lot of inner child healing and inner child work, connecting with my wounded, like younger self, that who's like, I think very much still alive inside me. Thank God. I would rather like that. Um, and I think it's true for everybody. They're just sort of, it's there all the time. And so I wanted to be able to reconnect with that.
Like amazing. Like it's, and it's, so I mean, it's almost like a similar journey, but with my own sort of personal sort of spin on it, like how I've come to be doing what I'm doing, like even in when sort of everything fell apart for me, in several years, and I fast forward to now, like I recently started this channel. I discovered that that the embodiment of love, and that's what I offer the world and what I want to spread to everyone. So I named my channel 3 Degrees of Love. And but also in my sort of professional educational background, I have a bachelor's of social work. So and being in the field for nearly 20 years, like that's or just about, or in and around that, aging myself there, oh my god. But like, and that's always sort of been what my calling was and what I wanted to do, and I still want to do. And but I just sort of found another sort of way to do it, and then I combine that with spirituality, and just sort of making that connection and realizing that mental health and spirituality, there's a big connection. And to really what's the word I'm looking for, to even with healing and mental health and coping, and especially with everything we have going around in the world today around us, um and people are being affected, having a spiritual practice is very important, whatever degree that is for you,
Mhm.
whether it be that you are religious and you do go to church, and and in whatever sort of denomination that may be, or if you're an omniist and you take from every which way, but the idea that that there's more to just the 3D and the mundane, that and working with that, it's very important, and that's something
Mhm.
that's sort of been instilled with me you know, throughout my childhood, just, you know, in a sort of different kind of way, you know, but I now feel comfortable. I've made it my own, and I'm proud of that. And I can see, and as you talk, like, it's the same thing for you, right? And it's the same thing for a lot of people that I've been, you know, getting, you know, to meet, you know, along the way, and stuff like that. Like here actually in Canada, January is our mental health awareness month. And we have what we call Bell Let's Talk Day. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, being out in LA. I'm sure you guys have like your own version of that in the States, but so Bell is actually like our leading like phone company, one of our leading phone companies here in Canada. And so they campaign every year and do, you know, and you know, to help break the stigma about mental health and all of that, right? So, and it's a really big thing. And so, you know, and just seeing more and more, like, you know, meeting people such as yourself, you know, another person who I really stumbled across that I fell in love with as well, is Marin Constantine. She's the creator of the Reclaim Oracle. And it's like when I met her and I saw her deck, it was the same love that I felt as when I came across your deck. And it's funny because your characters in the deck, looking at it, it's sort of like how I see, like when I imagine my like spirit guides and you know and like, you know, the inner people in me, like, you know, at the different moments of my life, whether it be my inner child or whatever, you know, and if I was to really sort of put a picture on it, they look very similar to your drawings. And that was another thing that I was like, oh my God, look at this deck. Like, I was like, and I was like, okay, where is it? Why don't I have it yet? Like, like, well, obviously it's because being creative. So like right now, as at present moment, as we speak, it's still running live on Kickstarter. I think there's probably only just a few days left, right? So by the time this video probably, you know, goes up and gets out there, campaign might have already ended. But you're gonna still have a pre-order, right? Like whether it be on Etsy or on your website or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's gonna be like, so it will be available. So tell me, like, how did you, like, I know you started to talk about how you what inspired you to create this deck and stuff like that, and I want to hear more about that process, like what that was like the journey and how this deck came to be for you.
Okay, so let's see. So with the Oracle deck, I started out last year by starting to sort of I started with like one image, and I was like, I think I'm gonna make 50 of these. I'm just gonna make 50, one a day. And this was after about, I think like a few months of like creating comics about mental health. And I started sort of developing a character that it was like quick to draw. Like I wanted to make it as simple as possible, but also in a way that felt universally like connective. Like it's something that like it just felt like something that anybody could look at and feel connected to. And so part of that was
sorry, like, just quick thought, just squirrel. So the characters also, I think part of what connected to me is, and how I imagine it, is just, it reminds me of the movie Casper. Remember the friendly ghost?
Yeah.
And he was always one of my favorite characters, and that's sort of, I think, too, why I have that picture image, and why I think like I resonate with the images on the cards of your deck. Yeah. So I just want to say that. But anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
I love that. That's so, like, I remember I loved Casper, the friendly ghost. Like it's just something about like you know, it's the spirit, the transparency of it. Like you could, like, I think that's part of it that's really difficult for a lot of us, is feeling transparent and vulnerable and open. And I wanted to capture that, that at our essence, we are all open, you know, and that's where we all want to be. And I think like with the characters, I also wanted to sort of design something that felt like light. I think that, you know, a lot of people kind of describe, you know, like inner light kind of thing, like something that we hold close to us. And lightness, to me, light is kind of something that is indestructible. Like physically, you're like, you can't really like destroy light. You can, and it's part of you, and it like, and also I think part of that is that light cannot exist without shadows and vice versa. And I think
Mm.
that we all have shadows because that's the part of us that we develop as we try to protect ourselves. And so I wanted to sort of make sure that as I created this deck, I didn't ignore the shadow parts, you know? I think like they go hand in hand.
Mhm.
And so when I think about like, you know, when I come across like content that is like, you know, what people call like toxic positivity, where it's like, just be happy, you know, like ignore the bad parts, just be optimistic. And it's kind of difficult, if not impossible, to do that
Yeah,
without killing
exactly.
off a part of yourself. Hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hmm. Uh,
So, okay, so still talking like about the creative process, like that's where the deck came from, but like the
hmm.
the concept, like the cards,
Uh-huh.
um like tell me more about like the whole structure of the deck.
Hmm. Okay. So sorry, I got on a bit of a tangent there, but basically for the concept of the deck, I wanted to create 50, you know, different illustrations. That's kind of a rough number I got. And every day I wanted to make sure it kind of either reflected something that I was feeling. It started out with just visuals, so the images first, and as I was drawing them, I also started making a list of 50 things that I used to help me feel you know, safe and brave and comforted. And I took those words and I paired them up with the illustrations after I completed 50 images. Um, and knowing how much I like tarot reading has helped me, um, like kind of figure out like a truth about myself that I had difficulty looking at directly, or admitting. I wanted to do that, but in a way that felt a little more um, safe and gentle. And so I that's kind of what I wanted to uh, sort of wanted the deck to do. Um, yeah.
Amazing. And so, okay, um and wait, the title of the deck is
Is
I'm
the
Here,
title?
right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. So the title of the deck is I'm Here, which is also something I've really worked hard on trying to be, is just being present. You know,
Yes.
I'm here, not just being present, but I'm here for me. Like
Yep.
something I thought about a lot as especially in the toughest times in my life. I felt a lot of loneliness, like really deep, like loneliness for a very long time. And every time I thought of that, I just wanted somebody, like a friend, anybody, to tell me, I'm here, you know, I'm here for you. Like, and then at some point I realized I could tell that to myself. I could be there for myself too. Um, and that's why I chose the name I'm Here, because I want to be here for me. You know, and part of that is also recognizing that it's not just me. I can't just be there for myself and that's it. Like part of being there for myself is also reaching out to other people and asking for help. And that's why I chose the name I'm Here.
That's incredible. Like that's to do you have the deck? Because I would love for us to see a little bit of the deck. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Okay. Yes. So this is the deck. Oh wait, hang on, it's upside down.
And of course, this is the prototype, right? Because it's going to come in a two-piece box, from what I understand, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
So this was done through, I think, Shuffled Ink. So I was able to get a prototype. I don't think they had two-piece boxes within my budget for like a small prototype. And so I went with this one just to see what the box might look like. So yeah, this will be sort of the cover design of it. And then the box right now doesn't include a guidebook, but it's going to have like accompanying like sort of writing to go with it, like prompts and things that like will.
And you're writing guidebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And these are the cards.
You're so pretty.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I wanted it to feel very like soft and like, yeah, just like a little playful. Makes me think of like, you know, a kid's nursery or something, somewhere where you can feel playful.
And my inner child right now is like ecstatic. She's like, yay!
Yeah. It's rainbows, like pastel Lisa Frank.
Yeah. So hey, why don't you pull a card for the collective since you're shuffling it already?
Yeah, of course. I would love that. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna say this one. It's Bloom.
What does it say?
Bloom. It says.
Oh, Bloom. Okay.
Yeah. Bloom. It's time to blossom into yourself.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that, especially even like, you know, with the pandemic and people losing their jobs and you know, back and forth. It's you know, they even call what did they call? I forget. I was talking to my mom and she was telling me that right now, like there was a recession or whatever before, like right in the past, but now they're calling it oh my god, I forget the name. And it was so like right, like where basically everybody is just like they're leaving their jobs and they're trying to find themselves, and you know, and whether it be they do their own thing. But there's a specific name. I'm at a loss for words right now as to what my mom said. It was the
great something, right? Not the great retirement, the great
it was something like that, something along those lines. What?
Great resignation.
That's it. Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what it is called, right? And it's like, yeah, like that card is just so fitting, right? Like it's because that's sort of where we are, you know, sort of rediscovering ourselves. And you know, actually I just watched like, because it's so funny how like when they say history repeats itself, that's no joke. Like it's like this sort of cycle, right?
Yeah.
So I just on the weekend just finished watching it was a YouTube documentary sort of thing that someone put together of explaining the Spanish flu and the events around the Spanish flu.
Yeah.
And would you know that we're pretty much where so the Spanish flu had, in a nutshell, it had they had 4 waves of it. The last wave, it was about 2 years long. It took about 2 years, but I think the recovery stage took us right into the Great Depression and into World War II. But they had the 4th
and final wave was a lot like what we're experiencing right now in our fifth wave, where it was like people were like the way it expanded and the virus kind of just kept going, but the symptoms that people were experiencing were a lot less. It was a lot less, right? And even the different stages where the summertime came and people thought, okay, we're good, it's, you know, it's over, let's relax our, you know, relax the restrictions and whatever. We went through all of that, right? And then and all the, and then so it's like I'm watching this documentary of something that happened from in 1918 to 19, and I'm like, but that's us right now. That's exactly what we're going through. That's exactly, and I can pinpoint every sort of way that they were explaining. I was like, oh yeah, I remember when that happened. I remember, right? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But and even the way they explained it, like how the effects on society, the way, you know, sort of you know, everything sort of transpired is exactly what we're going through now, and and this sort of shift, right? Even with the way the economy you know, shifted, and technology sort of grew in the different areas, and how things developed. It's a lot like what we're dealing with right now, and just talking about like the Great Resignation, right? Like that's exactly that. You know, it's amazing how, you know, in history, and that's the thing too, and why I'm like, you know, the connection between mental health and spirituality, because even in therapy, anybody who's ever been to therapy, right? We both know, because we've both been in therapy, right? It's all about introspection. It's all about looking at and taking note and being mindful of all these different things that a lot of the time, because we're so busy in our lives, you know, rushing to work, doing this, doing that, cooking, blah blah blah, all of these things, we don't take the time. We're on a rush, so we don't take the time to really notice and pay attention to these things. If we actually slowed down and did that work and that introspection, a lot of the things we experience on a regular basis, we wouldn't necessarily have to go through and have to deal with the impact and the traumatic impact that it has. Like just taking the idea, like you know, like the pandemic, as a great example, the world has lived through this many times. Like I said, to watch this documentary, I'll even send you the link if you're interested to see.
I would love
it, right?
Yeah.
And just to see, and even the guy that did it, and he was explaining it, like it was well done, and you can see exactly exactly how things are exactly like it is now. Back then, the difference was they didn't have a vaccine, right? They went through this without a vaccine at the time, because the vaccine for the flu didn't actually come out until the 1940s. And here, look at me sounding all smart and whatever. That's only because I watched the documentary and the information.
No, you're
in my head, right? Like, so I'm like, but like, you know, like it's just, and that's the thing. If we take the time and we reflect, and you know what I mean? And that's the thing, that's the part that's sort of missing, because, you know, a part of the spirituality is yes, connecting to the past and introspection and all of these things, right? And understanding psychology and the inner workings of our thoughts, and how, you know, human behavior and all of that, right? We tend to forget that, because we're either living in our trauma, or we're either, you know, worrying about the future, but we're not necessarily taking stock of the present a lot of the time. We're just it's like we're on autopilot, and that, you know, and that's the need for slowing down, and that's what spirituality and meditation and all these things are all about, right? And so it's like, and this is why, like, it's like I the idea of journeying, spiritually is so fascinating for me, and I want to do more of it. I want to get to know people, like, it's, like, I want to spread my love, but I also want love in return, and I just, right? And so it's like, because we're all connected, and if we really pay attention, we're connected a lot more than we actually think. Just because we look different on the inside, on the inside, we don't, well, who knows, it depends on how, your body parts inside, but we all may look different on the outside. Right?
Yeah.
The basic core of who we are is relatively the same, right? And the makeup, right? We all have feelings. We all have, these different parts of ourselves that need attention and love and care. And, and so being mindful of that, being mindful of yourself allows you to be mindful of other people, and being mindful of other people allows you the opportunity to be mindful of yourself, right? And it's this reflection, and that's, right? So when we fight each other, we're not doing, like, ourselves any justice. We're only just separating ourselves even further and creating chaos and all of this, right? So so this is beautiful. Like, I absolutely cannot wait for this deck. And I want to know so even in creating this deck, like, understanding sort of where it came from, what was your hope for others to gain from this deck?
So yeah, I think it's interesting, like really cool that you mentioned, like, the impact that, like, the pandemic has had on all of us. And I think part of it is that we were, I guess, like, in a lot of ways forced into spending a lot of times by ourselves, and kind of, switching out of that, like, autopilot, because now we're home a lot, and we're, like, thinking about things in a way that isn't impacted by how others are perceiving us. And it's like we suddenly tap into our most authentic selves. But it's still difficult to process that, especially if you have unhealed trauma. Even if you have, like, healing trauma, I don't think you can fully heal anything, because I feel like I've started to distance myself from the idea of perfectionism too, in the process of, like, my journey through the pandemic. There's a book called How to Do Nothing that, like, really changed the way I thought about things as well. And a lot of it has to do with the idea of slowing down and reflecting, and that doing nothing is essential to existence. And I think that's kind of part of it, is like, all I needed were the tools, like, and so like, as I continued my journey in healing, I realized I was collecting all of these tools to help me through these things, kind of like a game character with all my, like, armor and weapons, like, I don't know, I keep making references to games and weapons, but, like,
that's okay. I do the same thing with movies and stuff too, right? Like, like, have you seen Free Guy?
I haven't. I really want to. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you need to watch it. And I recently watched the new Matrix movie.
Yeah.
And oh my god, like, it's funny because I saw Matrix, like, years ago when it first came out, right? And I do remember the storyline of it. But watching the fourth installment now and reflecting back to what I remember from the movie before, it was like a light bulb went off. I was like, oh my god, art is connected to life, and life is connected to art. Like, it's a reflection of everything. Like, like, it's just so your whole need or just the fact that your go-to for referencing is with video games and stuff like that. I do the same thing. You know, I'm more of the movie type of person, but video games still too are still along the same lines. And
yeah,
I play video games too, and I love them. So right, yeah. So it's awesome, but like, I totally forgot what your thought was, and I interrupted you. And I'm sorry, but
that's the best conversations. My favorite kind of conversations is just all the tangents. That's kind of how I approach life too. Is I love thinking about life was a video game, I want to find all the Easter eggs. I want to go all the side quests. Like the main story, cool, it's awesome, but like I want to discover all the little things.
Lily.
And, yeah.
Go watch Free Guy. That was it. You need to watch Free Guy.
Yes, it's everything I love. So like I'm definitely, I might do that after this. and like it's interesting you mentioned Free Guy and Matrix, because a lot of that has like themes of awakening too, like awakening from like all of that. Yeah. You know, stopping kind of being ejected from the autopilot like mode and switching on. And I think that has a lot to do with connection. Like I think you were mentioning the idea that we were sort of starting to disconnect by like arguing with each other and putting up walls. And I think the more we disconnected we become to ourselves, the more disconnected we become to others. And so I think that's something I wanted my deck to do, is encourage connection, and connection not to ourselves, but also to our surroundings, to our lives, to Earth, to each other. And all of that, I think, hopefully will help us feel a little better. Like I think that's I don't have like lofty goals where I'm like, I'm gonna fix people, because that's also not possible. You know, people would have to do that for themselves, you know. But I do feel like if it's helped me in creating it, and I'm hoping that it will help other people who also are looking for that.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. We can't fix people, but what we can do is be supports and advocates and beings of encouragement to be like, you know, hey, this is what I did and this helped me. You know, here's something that maybe could help you, and not necessarily in the same way as I did, but can still be something that you can utilize, right? And you're right, like you succeeded. Your goal was to create something that sort of connected everything, and if you really break it down, you realize that it actually did, because you've connected Earth, because you're creating a deck that is basically made of paper. That paper comes from our trees, right? Trees, earth, all of that stuff, right? Color, all of that. You've created something that came from you, that is an extension of you, your ideas, your thoughts, your reflection, that now you're putting out there for other people to utilize, connecting other people to the same thoughts and or a variation of that, to that. It is not only just connected you to that, but it's connected you to other people. Like, I found your deck, then I found you. I went and searched for you, and we're talking now today. We're connecting, total strangers. Wouldn't have crossed paths any other way, right? Most likely, right?
Yeah.
We're in two different countries and different time zones. Like, time's connected, Earth's connected. We're connected as people, right? Like, all because of this creation that came from you. Like, that's amazing. Like I'm as I'm talking it and I'm saying it, and I'm this realization, I'm shocking myself that, like, where'd that come from? I was just like, but even just the thought, and the thing is, it's not even just you, because there are other people like you that have done their own things and have done the same thing too, right?
Yeah.
And just how, so, when and that's the thing that gets me, and the thing that sort of confuses me is how we can be so cruel to each other, and how disconnected we can be, because when you really break it down, we are connected.
Yeah.
And if we're connected, then collectively we become one. But when we fight against each other and we create this separation and this divide, and it's like, it's a catch-22 sort of thing. Like, it's like, how does that work? But at the same time, that's still how the balance of good and evil, that's sort of how, right? And out of destruction, you had to go through your trauma to find yourself today.
Yeah.
Out of that destruction came beauty.
Yeah.
Out of my childhood trauma and everything else that has followed in my life has brought me to here today. Because if I didn't create this channel and I didn't go seeking this healing, I never would have found you either.
Yeah.
So we went on our own sort of paths and our own journeys, but somehow found our way to each other. Yeah. And that's amazing. And that's happening all the time. But I don't think, people take the time to stop and realize and really reflect on these things, and I'm just like, in the present moment, like, talking to you, I'm amazed. I'm amazed by you. I'm amazed by how we got here. I'm amazed by your deck. And I need to stop now because I'm going to start to cry. So
I know, me too. I'm getting like emotional here. I'm like, don't cry. Okay, it's okay. It's okay if you cry. We're going to both cry. Because I feel like the reason we connected too is deeply because we both, it was through acts of love for ourselves too. Like you creating your channel, knowing that it's going to connect you to others also who are in the same journey. And you, like, that alone, I think, is a huge step. Like, creating this deck and believing that it was going to, as an act of love for myself, and seeking meaning and, oh my God, I'm crying. I like deeply appreciate you, and I feel this like sense of appreciation also for this world that can feel so cruel and scary, but like there's so much light, and there's so much light in moments like this where we're literally connecting through the ether. I don't know how the internet works, but I just know that, like, through so much pain, like I think we both like probably went through like an enormous amount of pain, and it's being able to transmute that into this like incredible healing, not just for ourselves but for other people, and sharing that it's everything. And I'm just so happy that you reached out, and I'm so happy that this deck is resonating with so many people. It also breaks my heart because I'm like, oh, there's so much pain in the world,
Yeah, it's crazy, and we all want to be successful too, right? And I know, as you're still campaigning and the hope that you reach the funding goal, and I really hope that it does, because this deck needs to be out in the world. It's amazing. And and even if you come that very shy of reaching the goal, I still hope that it will still manifest, because it needs to. Yeah. It needs to manifest in some form or fashion. And like, it's just like you created beauty because you come from beauty, right?
Yeah.
God, I'm so sad. That's just, oh my God, like it's just really funny, and I'm so happy that like, because like I'm happy that I found you, and I was like, I wasn't afraid to like reach out to you, and I'm happy that you responded, and like and you shared the same excitement that I did, and it's amazing, and I can't wait to see what more you have to offer, like. And as I that's like basically my last question. What are your future projects, if anything?
Yeah.
Because you're radiating beauty, so I know there has to be more to come.
Well, thank you so much. That means so much to me, and I just like, you seem like such a light. Like I can feel it like radiating off of you too. Like, it's just, so I'm deeply, deeply grateful to be connected to you. And let's see what's in my future. Can my decks tell me? My deck won't be able to tell the future, but that's only here. But in my future, my hopes are, that's probably why I kept making references to video games, because I want to create video games. But
Uh-oh.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think
I'm
my
fine.
iPad
You
just freaked out.
disappeared.
Okay, so let me go back to the beginning. What I would hope for in the future is, I've been making a lot of references to video games, and I'm realizing now it's because I want to make video games, and I want to make video games that are accessible to a lot of people, and are also just, basically do the thing that like my deck does, basically, and help us, heal and connect with our inner child and our inner, like, just yeah, like, be able to create a loving space in a world that feels scary a lot of times. And I would love to do that through video games. That's my next big adventure.
Awesome. So you're gonna be Neo. Have you seen the fourth installment?
What's that?
Have you seen the fourth installment of the
Oh,
Matrix?
not yet. I really want to.
Okay, well, you know what? You need to put that on your to-do list. You need to go watch. You need to go watch Free Guy.
Yeah.
You also need to watch The Matrix. And I have one more for you. Have you seen or have you heard of Miraculous Ladybug, The Adventures of Ladybug and Cat Noir?
No. Oh wow. Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
It's a cartoon that originated, like, it's like a French anime cartoon. And you should, but it's on Netflix.
Okay.
You can stream it on Netflix. Excellent. If you have Netflix.
Yeah, just wrote it all down.
Yeah, and especially too, if you love video games, you will totally love this. Total superhero type thing, and they help everyone fight against evil, blah blah blah, like, so but it's super cute. If you're anything like me, you're gonna love it.
Oh my god, so excited.
Oh my god, this was amazing. You're like, so when the campaign wraps up, it's going to be available on your website, right? I will have everything linked down in the description box. And when are you going to open pre-orders?
Pre-orders, I would say I would open them around the time. It might be up in the air right now, so I'll let you know once I think it'll depend on the production, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then okay. And then what about for, like, because of course, this is the inner child part of me who cannot wait and wants the deck like now. So when will the deck be finished to be in the hands of everybody?
So with the Kickstarter, and like advice I got from people was that because there's like global shipping delays, we want to be generous with the timeline as possible. So I put down the estimates as like August latest is sort of the, with like production and shipping and fulfillment. So yeah, August, but hopefully sooner.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely am looking forward to this deck, like 100%.
Yeah.
Even the add-ons that you offered, I was like, yep. Yeah. So
oh my goodness. Oh man. Yeah. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to talk with me today and just share your love and your light, and just like, this is truly amazing, and I can't wait to talk to you again. Like, this is just so like, I'm ecstatic right now, and I'm telling you, like, I'm gonna get off and probably watch Casper.
Well, I'm gonna go watch Free Guy.
What's that?
I'm gonna watch Free Guy. So
oh yeah, you totally have to watch that. I've actually seen it. I think it only just came out last year.
Yeah.
Sometime, and I think I've already seen it like 3 times. So it's a good movie. It's totally a good movie. You'll really like it. And even just the fact that, like, the interconnectedness of people, but even the connectedness of technology, and how even the way technology flows and computer systems and all of that stuff, and the interconnectedness of the interweb and all of that is pretty much still how the interconnectedness of people and generations and timelines and all of this stuff. I don't think people ever even really thought of that either. Right?
It's like, the collective consciousness, in the form of digital, like, information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And even it had to come from somewhere, right? Technology originated from someone, right? Or people. So it's the way that their brain functions, that they put out into the world, that we utilize. That is a reflection of our very existence.
Yes.
Like, I think I just totally like spat on myself, but then anyways, oh my god, like, I could talk to you forever. Like, this is so, well, anyway, so just to wrap up, like, you are beautiful. You've created such a wonderful deck. I cannot wait for it to be in my hands, like I said. And thank you very much for joining me on my channel today. And just, like, this is just amazing. So, and I look forward to future opportunities of just even, free chats, and whether it be on or off camera, and just, like, it's amazing. So
yeah,
I think I'm so happy to have found you. I feel like I've made a new friend for life, and makes me so happy. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I likewise, all of that. Like, I feel so grateful and honored, and just, like, so happy to be connected with you. And we're absolutely going to talk about, like, Free Guy and Casper and all of those shows. Like, just like, I would love to keep connecting with you. Like, and thank you for everything that you do. So yeah, I'm just really excited for both of our futures.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
All right. So until next time, take care. Continue to live, listen, and learn.
Sorry?
Continue to live, listen, and learn. My motto for 3 Degrees of Love.
Oh, I love that. Continue to live, listen, and learn. Yes. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.